Guys, do you hear that? I have a Skype call coming in. Who could it be? Oh, what's up? Hey, I think we're like totally good and set here. Let me see if the commenters have anything to say about how this looks, but I think we're good. Can you hear me?
A great person to talk to.
Well, good. What's your dog's name?
Optimus Prime Taco, but we call him Opie.
Your dog is named Optimus?
Yeah, Optimus Prime.
Okay, this weird joke started when I was my first year in college, where every guy that I was friends with was so intimidated by all the girls, and it was right when Transformers was like so cool, and so we had like the best girl you knew, you called Optimus. And so there was this like one girl in everyone's astronomy class that everyone referred to as Optimus Prime. And I don't know. When you said that just now, I got a flashback right to college, and it made me laugh. Well,
And he's upstairs right now because I'm dog sitting for a friend of mine. And Stella, you want to come out? Nope. She's shy.
um,
But they bite each other all the time. So.
well, can I give you a big? Can I give you this like big intro that I had written out as if we were going to be on radio?
Oh yeah, that'd be awkward and fun. Let's do
Let's
that.
do it. Okay, let's welcome our guest. She's a Grammy nominated country singer and songwriter, the reigning CMA Awards New Artist of the Year. She has shared the stage with Garth Brooks and Eric Church. She uses vocabulary as varied as jalopy, okra, and dalanaga. She has the current single, One Night Standards, climbing the chart now, and her second major label album, Never Will, coming out this Friday. Welcome to the stream, the pride of Waldron, Arkansas, Miss Ashley McBryde. Welcome.
I have this little copy of the vinyl, and I'm loving it. Loving it.
You're loving your own record?
No, I just love that I have a copy of it.
I know it's pretty awesome. I've been listening to it this week, and I'm thankful for it. I think it's great. I think what you're doing is awesome in country music. I'm a big fan of yours. How are you? You know, obviously you would have been at a big, like doing all the things that you do when you release an album this week. What have you been doing instead?
Today I washed my hair.
Okay.
It was really good. Put some makeup on. I've got some tennis balls that me and Opie are playing with. It's all great. Mostly, though, I know it's super lame, but Netflix is just my one thing.
Are you watching Tiger King?
I've watched it twice. Are you kidding me? I started Ozark 2 nights ago because people say a lot about it, and I'm from the Ozarks. But I started that, and it seems really cool. But Tiger King, I've watched twice all the way through.
Wow, has anything changed in your mind the second time through that you felt differently the first time?
Yeah, of course. I feel like the first time through, I didn't pay enough attention to the music videos.
Okay. Oh, well,
And
I literally watched all of them.
That was my focus. Because the first time through, I was like, why is this guy making music at all? Clearly, it's not him singing or obviously not writing the songs. But I was like, maybe second time through, I'll watch it and just pay attention to the music videos. And to be honest, they're all batshit crazy. Doc is crazy. Joe is crazy. Carol is crazy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, it's kind of like a really fun chit chat.
Okay, so I literally I reviewed for a video this week all of Joe Exotic's music videos.
Oh, I just watched it right before we got on.
Okay, you gotta go watch Alyssa's Butterflies. I feel like
that's the one song I haven't watched.
Okay.
I made a promise to myself to watch the videos that you talked about that I hadn't seen on YouTube tonight.
Okay, good. I swear to you, like, so I did a bunch of research on you for this interview, and like you're an easy person to research because the way you interview is like song lyrics. You use a lot of specifics where a regular person would say, like, oh, I want people to hear this album and feel good about themselves. You'll say something like, this is an album for the kids that get their hair cut on the porch by their mom. It's just like a different way of saying things. And
yeah,
I feel like
if you want to drive too fast through your neighborhood, maybe you'll like this record.
But I feel like there's some Joe Exotic songs that have weirdly that same energy. But
I've got to be honest. I don't care if he's a convicted prisoner or not. I'm a fan.
he seems like a Leroy character from your.
He is the like. If there was not a real Leroy, he would be Leroy.
That tracks. That tracks. Well, we've all been, killing time, watching Tiger King, going crazy in quarantine. We've been having some stupid debates here on the channel as well. And I have to ask you about our main one that we've been having, which is since you are in the cohort of Eric Church, um, how do you feel about mustard on fries? Is this like a viable condiment?
There was a film called Sling Blade.
Okay.
The main actor was Billy Bob Thornton. It's set in Arkansas, and he puts mustard on his French fried potatoes. So I really can't. I mean, I can't argue with putting mustard on almost anything. Like a sausage biscuit, I love it on there. Like fries, I'm kind of weird. I prefer mayonnaise on fries because I'm kind
Oh
of a
yeah,
fake girl.
mayonnaise and ketchup is the hack.
But mustard, yeah, of course, on French fries. Yes, absolutely,
Okay.
1000%.
All right, you've weighed in. So I want to talk about your music, and I want to talk about this new album, and I want to start that combo right at the beginning of where the album starts. You have this song called "Hang in There, Girl," and you describe a girl at the end of her driveway, 15, gray sweatpants, hanging up a flag. You say a half mile on the other side of the low water bridge and the poverty line, and you kind of are relating to this girl and encouraging her. I'm wondering, can you take me back to a random Tuesday night when you were 15 years old in March? What might life have looked like when you were 15, right around now?
So I lived at the end of a 2.5 mile dirt road.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of that dirt road was a low water bridge, which is actually a high water bridge because you don't see water it's going over the bridge. There were times when I was in high school, middle school, they would call the office and have me and my brother check out from school to drive home because the water was going to be too high. And we drove a big blue Chevy small block truck, 2 gas tanks, like the big square body C10 over that little bridge. So around that time when I was 14 or 15, in March, it could have been snow, it could have been rain. And at the end of that 2.5 mile drive was a Church of Christ,
Mm-hmm.
which was where we went to church too. So we drove 4-wheelers to church sometimes. um, and I understood. I mean, we just didn't have a lot growing up.
Mm-hmm.
We weren't in need for anything really.
Mm-hmm.
Some things we wanted, but we weren't really in dire straits or anything. And then when I saw her, I was like, God, if you'll just. When I was 14, if I had been able to tell myself in just a few years, you're going to blow out of this town and you're going to look back fondly and love where you grew up. Because I do love where I grew up.
Interesting. But you had that. Did you always have that kind of feeling like I got to skip this town? I got to go do bigger things?
My brother Daniel always had that thought. I loved being where we were.
Okay.
I loved being with dirt on my elbows and my knees and having tick bites everywhere. And as I got just a little bit older, I realized there were other things out there. And I mean, I knew since I was 5 years old, I wanted to live here in Nashville and write songs. And there was some sort of path from that to this. And but I never hated the way I grew up.
Okay. I mean, I was gonna ask you like, what were you had a bunch of siblings? Have a bunch of siblings?
Yeah, 5. Well, now 4.
Mm-hmm. Where do you fall in that order?
I am 6. If we were packages from FedEx, I would be 6 of 6.
Okay.
So Daniel is 5 of 6, and I'm 6 of 6.
Do you feel like, so I have a sister that's way younger than me. I'm 1 of 5, and I feel like she is so observational because even though there's like the youngest is a spoiled brat kind of thing, there's also this, if your siblings are at all rowdy or wild, you kind of can sit back in a role and just learn to observe all the crazy around you. And
Yeah.
is that kind of how you feel?
No, all my siblings were boring as hell. Nobody did eat, nobody smoked cigarettes, nobody drank alcohol, my parents included. Nobody did anything until I was old enough to do it all. And my brother Daniel is kind of like me. He does consume alcohol when it's appropriate and when it's not. Never did dabble in recreational drugs, which is fine. But none of them did anything fun.
Okay.
And I was this one person wanting to do hood rat
I
stuff with
know.
my
I was just gonna
friends,
say.
and I would sneak off and do all kind of crazy stuff.
So I read in one of your interviews that you were in a marching band in high school, and as a former trumpet player, I have to know, what did you play, and did you enjoy the experience?
I started in the 4th grade with a flugelhorn. In 6th grade, I moved to a trumpet. In the 10th grade, I moved to a trumpet and a mellophone and a single French horn, not a double, but a single.
Okay.
Oh, come on, Stella, come on.
Oh, what's up, Stella?
Dog sitting. And then I stayed with the French horn. So I would consider myself a mellophone player, but I was first made a trumpet player because in my family, Aubrey, my sister, played the flute, Clint played the trumpet, and Daniel played the snare drum. And you could choose one of these 3 instruments, but they're not going to buy anything else.
Okay.
So I started with the trumpet, then I moved to the mellophone and the French horn and the double French horn.
Wow.
Which paid for college all the way through.
No way. You had that was a scholarship to be in marching band?
I had a scholarship to Arkansas State University.
Heck yeah, mellophone. Mellophones get the last laugh, I guess.
Right? And everyone's like, what is a mellophone? Like, it's like a French horn where you stick your hand up its tube, but you turn it around, you play it this way, and the bell is like this big. And you just can't look cool and play one. You can't.
I mean, well, hey, you made it anyway. The last question I want to ask about kind of I was into this idea of like you at 15 from this song. What was the first album you remember buying with your own money?
I bought 2 on the same day.
From where?
From Walmart.
Okay.
We had 2 places to shop where I grew up. You could buy from Walmart or you could buy from Tri-County Feed and Seed.
Okay.
So that's where we got our clothes. I'm wearing Wranglers right now.
Woo woo.
No shit. But I bought my music from Walmart, and I bought Travis Tritt, Drift Off to Dream, and Winona, Tell Me Why, record. I bought them on the same day.
That's awesome.
With my own pennies. It was cool because my first vinyl was Alison Krauss. And I had to beg my mama at a bluegrass festival to let me have that record.
Okay.
And so my first 2 CDs were Travis Tritt, Winona Judd.
That's like real country cred. I feel like, I'm very open on this channel, and I was not always, I've had my journey into becoming a country fan, but I remember getting a gift card and just being so pumped to spend my $15 at Barnes & Noble and buying the Eiffel 65 album that was like, I'm blue, da ba dee da ba die. Yeah. And I regretted it.
Great record.
Maybe. Maybe. Okay.
I just remember buying a lot of like cream soda at the time that record came out, and a lot of like Goldfish crackers. And I was a teenager, and we would get messed up on Boone's Farm, and then our chaser was IBC cream soda and those Goldfish crackers.
I love that stuff. Yeah. That's not a bad meal. So I have I found out about you probably the same way a lot of people did when you had that performance of Girl Going Nowhere on the Grand Ole Opry, and it was so moving. I'm sure you can't say anything about it, but I'll just put it out in the world that Opry, bring that back to YouTube. It's a good ad for you and for Ashley.
Is it gone from YouTube?
I couldn't find it. Yeah, raise hell.
Well, it's not like I can do it again. Just put it back up there.
But a fan, I asked people if they had questions for you, and Troy Turner asked in a video yesterday, how do you feel like your life has changed personally and professionally since Girl Going Nowhere, that album?
Oh, God. It was like a tilt-a-whirl. The record came out, and we thought it might do well, and it did. But radio wasn't exactly on board, but they weren't not on board. So it was like a really weird place to live because they kind of teach you as a country artist to gauge your career off radio. And I just couldn't do that. I had to gauge it off of butts in seats. And butts in seats kept happening. And people would tell me at meet and greet about Jelanigo or about Girl Going Nowhere, about the things that from that record that hit them the most. And I got the opportunity to meet so many cool folks and absorb so many more stories from people. And I'm not a big fan of meet and greets. Not because I don't want to be
Especially
meet
not
and
now,
greet you.
everyone. Especially,
Well, and my thing is, it's because it's so short
yeah.
and it's so impersonal. That's not a meet and greet. That's a handshake and a howdy. That's all it is. And I really do care if your father passed away last June. I really do care. And so that was hard for me to adjust to in the last couple of years. And then going into making this record, I was nervous but unafraid
Well, I feel
because
like,
whatever we do is just what we're going to do.
I mean, I sense that honestly, even in just calling this record Never Will, in the same way that Girl Going Nowhere was such kind of a mission statement on that last record. It feels like Never Will as a song is kind of a sequel to Girl Going Nowhere. It's like a girl that got somewhere, but really kind of then looking back and being like, but I'm not, but I'm not going to change. Um, I'm not going to change and I'm not going to like lean in to stardom in a way.
Right. Yeah. The only difference between me and anybody else is that I have a microphone right now.
Mm-hmm.
And you might have it later. So there really is there's no difference. That pedestal should never be too high.
Yeah. Yeah. But life does, like, things do change, and obviously things worked out for you, and obviously things are, shifting right now for all of us as tour schedules are up in the air. People are, not at their
We're no longer
jobs.
working.
I know I know it's hard. I was actually thinking, while getting ready for this, there's this song on this record, Sparrow, that is like an unintentional, maybe quarantine anthem. I don't know if like that was my experience hearing it for the first time. This song about being lonely out on the road and how challenging life can be, and how there's a sacrifice and there's some sort of cosmic irony. I feel like, and like when this album's coming out, you got to be home. Have you felt that at all? Like, are you frustrated? Is it?
I didn't think about that song as me being home because I usually think about it as me being gone.
That's why I mean it's
Um,
ironic, I guess.
and I'm home now, and I just noticed about a week and a half ago, there's this one bird that sits outside the top bedroom window, and she makes noise about 5 o'clock in the morning every morning. So I got up one day and I was bitching to Opie about this dang bird that keeps singing every morning before the sun comes up. And then I thought, you know what? I haven't been home in the last 3 years enough to realize that that specific bird was there every morning to sing to me. And so I felt two things. I felt sad, angry that she wakes me up or he wakes me up. But then I felt sad that I haven't been home long enough to think about something as simple as a bird that you can count on every morning. And then I felt happy that no matter what's going on right now, at least I have that one annoying ass bird that can wake me up every morning. So it's a really complicated time.
It is.
And I'm finding myself doing really strange things, like washing my hands multiple times a day alone in my own home.
Yeah, I mean, it's complicated. That is absolutely for sure. But it's cool that we have great music to think about. I mean, I'm finding that we're able to really like dive in, plunge in, just soak ourselves in music and really think about it. Whether that's on a walk or whether that it's just like sitting in our house. It has been kind of a cool time. I think everyone's finding that piece themselves. Are there any albums that you're doing that with, really marinating in?
Oh, I am. Well, there's a couple. Lucinda Williams' Car Wheels on a Gravel Road is my favorite record of all time. 1998, remastered by Buddy Miller, or remixed by Buddy Miller. Best album of all time.
Okay.
But when I got the Brandy Clark record, I listened to it and was texting her, which is also very strange, but I'm like texting her track by track. And now I listen to it every day. This morning I woke up going, apologies, so
Okay.
sincere. I was like, God, this record is so good that it wakes me from my sleep and reminds me to listen to it again. I've listened to Kelsey's record this week. Brandy's is a staple for me. And a lot of the older songs that I'd forgotten that I leaned on through the years. Jim Croce, Operator.
Oh yeah.
John Denver, This Old Guitar. Guy Clark, Stuff That Works. I've really gone back into my stuff and found the songs that have always given me comfort, not just in times of quarantine, but the things that keep you sane are these things. And they're there might be 12 of them. You just don't even know about it.
Mm-hmm.
But Brandy's record is amazing. And I also dug back into Port St. Joe. It's the one record I keep going back to.
You got good taste. I mean, I know these are all, you're in the Jay Joyce land, and both those are Jay Joyce records.
I'm also in the
he knows what he's doing.
Fan land, and I sat here tonight. I watched a couple of your videos, a few to refresh, especially the Tiger King one. But then I just watched Brothers Osborne videos for a little while. I was like, man, and not only are their videos great, but their records are so consistently great. And Jay Joyce is a wonderful producer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But all he does is make louder the thing it is you do.
Well, that's what's cool about the Brandy record is because, like, I expect Brothers Osborne to have that scuzzier vibe that I associate with Jay Joyce. But then that Brandy record, you're like, is that a flute?
It is. And he freaking used the Stax players on this record. That is amazing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a great album. Now I want to ask you, since you were talking about songwriting, there's one and songs that just matter a lot to you. The album closer on this, a song called Styrofoam, is so weird. It's like delightfully weird. I was like,
so weird.
I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. And it was written by a guy named Randall Clay, who I know has passed and has like another. Okay.
He's even tattooed to my body. Yeah.
Was this like a tribute to him? Was this what about that song made you want this to be the kind of last note of this album?
The first record I wrote, maybe half of the record with Randall and some others. And on this one, there were two of just his that I was not a writer on that I wanted on the record. They didn't make it. But I wrote First Thing I Reached For with Randall. American Scandal. First Thing I Reached For, El Dorado, Tired of Being Happy. This was a guy that was very, very, very present at all times in my life. And when Jay said, I wish there was one more song, it was like so much fun to sing. So I played Styrofoam. I was like, that's kind of weird. But I played it and he went, yeah. And I asked the band, like, do you want to cut it? And they said, oh, absolutely. Let's cut it. The thing about that song is Randall had this ability to be weird and to be funny and catchy and educational. And that's very, very strange. He also had the ability to be very, very, very dark a lot of the time. But Styrofoam was not intended to be on the record. We just played it that last day together as a band, and it wound up staying on the record.
Cool. Very cool. I'm taking too much of your time, to be honest. But
what else I got to do?
I don't know. I'm just trying to obey orders. But there's like a interesting religiosity in your writing. You say things like you call Martha Divine freaking. I love that song. I just have to say that in the lead up to this question. Love it. What a unique, weird, interesting take on like the murder ballad, and it's just so clever and funny. But you call her a Jezebel in that song. You talk about Babylon and even like voodoo dolls. There's this like gothic mysticism thing. I heard you kind of sort of answered the question a little bit, saying you grew up right by that Church of Christ. And
yep.
But then there's
I grew up in the Church of Christ. My father was, when I was born, my father was the preacher that you called in to scare the shit out of everybody else. They would call them revivals if we were Baptist, but since we're of the Church of Christ, they would call them meetings, and he was that preacher.
Okay.
So I grew up complete. There's a Bible right here.
Yeah.
We grew up that way.
Yeah. And but then there's this moment on the record too, Shut Up Sheila. That's like a frustrated moment. With like a judgy.
You will have. If you grow up in that tight religious environment, you will have that moment.
Do you feel like that your upbringing has like given a sort of, do you want your music to have that kind of I don't know. There's questioning in it. There's frustration. It's full. It
Yeah.
seems like it's still a part of your life. Do you feel like it's?
If you're raised that way, it will always be a part of your mentality. It will always be something drilled into your brain, whether you still believe it or not. And I won't speak to whether I do or not.
Right.
Um, you will react to things in a way that if you had not been raised that way, you would not react that way. But if you have been raised that way, there are also reactions you're going to have that you wouldn't have had otherwise. And so, as I've spoken about before, when my brother passed, now I'm a girl that does sing Amazing Grace, that does pray, thanks to my upbringing. When somebody goes across the Jordan, and when my brother passed, I was like, nope, don't give a damn about that. I give a damn about not being sad, about not being hurt, about not being angry. Come here, Stella. Come here. Come on. So it was a really strange balance I had to find.
Yeah.
Shut Up Sheila was super important to me the first time I heard it because, come on, baby. Come on, go. Not because my brother hadn't passed at the time I heard the song. It was a couple of years before the record came out. But what I heard was there was this thing, and it was what you want to say to somebody in your family that nobody wants to say. And I knew I wanted to say it. There's one in every family. There's two in mine. And I kept thinking, Nicolette had the balls to write it.
Interesting. Yeah.
One of us has to have the balls to cut it because we feel that way. And I guarantee you, Dolly Parton has felt that way. Linda Ronstadt has felt that way. Tammy Wynette did feel that way. Our greats even felt that way, but we're raised on company behavior. And when the company's over, you don't say mean stuff like that.
Well, that's why I love, like, I don't know if you ever listen to Iris DeMent, but another Midwest gal, but she has that song, like, The Night I Learned How Not to Pray, about her brother passing away and, like, her prayers not working. And so many people I've played that song for, it's an important song to me, feel like that is just, like, a statement of doubt. And I'm like, no, it's a statement of struggle. And that's what makes it interesting. And anyway, I think it's an interesting aspect of your writing that, like,
it is. And whether you decide to stay true to how you were raised or not, there are moments where you ask questions, and those are the most important moments, honestly.
Well, I want to ask something that someone in the chat asked, actually, and they wanted to know something about touring with Eric Church. I'm sorry if
yeah, no worries.
Let me just look it up really quick because I don't want to mess up your.
Oh, then I'm going to grab a beer if that's okay. Because
do it. I
don't drink a lot of beer.
I can vamp. I can vamp. Wow, guys, what should we get in your questions now? I'm like finally able to look at the comments. This is fun, isn't it?
Back so fast.
Okay, we didn't have much time to gossip, but I did find the question, and there's two different questions. One is Robert asked, like, he wants to know what it's like touring with Eric Church. And then there was a separate question from Kendra, who wants to know what touring with Luke Combs has been like, 3 years ago and this year.
Oh, well, touring with Eric is pretty easy to sum up. You'll never feel more taken care of in your life than you do with Eric. You know what to expect, what's expected of you, that the food will be great, and that you're just going to be taken care of. Nutritionally, he takes care of. He's like Miranda.
He gives mustard to
everybody all the way around. Touring with Luke 3 years ago compared to today. So 3 years ago, a lot of the food was fried.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but touring musicians, all we get is catering, right? And now he's just like Eric and Miranda. He's taking care of you all the way around. If you're vegan or if you're keto or whatever, I'm neither of those, obviously, but there are options that are healthy for you. And the best thing I can say about Luke is I toured with him with a band, with my band. I toured with him acoustic alone in Europe when I had pneumonia. And then I came back and toured with him again, and now we're with him again. So what I can say about Luke is he's never changed. There are a few small things that have to change. Security has to change. Your security is going to get a little bigger, and I guess that might happen for me someday too. But his team is so nice, and they take such care in taking care of us and making sure we're just happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that the teams that they have in the arenas and stuff do a fair amount of, could I see your badge again, or can I see your creds again? And all we can say is thank you, because we do live in a climate where it's always been safe to be who we are and do what we do, but it's not always anymore.
Yeah.
And Luke has done a really, really good job of making sure we're all safe and just not being an asshole. With
Yeah.
six number ones now, or 7?
It's probably like 9 by now.
What, 11 number ones now, and he's still not an asshole.
You know who's trolling you down in the comments is Drew Parker, who just got a number 1.
He did. He's also on the tour with us, and he also just had a little baby Harley, and she's so cute.
Well, I want to just to close out our time, I'd just love to ask, you know, what is it that you want people when they hear Never Will, which I think is it's just a really good album. What is it that you want people to feel, if anything?
I hope I've said it before, I hope you drive a little bit too fast through your neighborhood. And then, of course, come to your senses and slow down. Things like Girl Going Nowhere, I hope you find a little bit of hope in that. I mean, I'm sorry, hang in there, girl.
Yeah,
a little bit of hope in that shit gets weird sometimes, but it also gets better. In stuff like Stone, that's not on the record to make you hurt.
Right.
That's on the record because we are all kind of hurt in some way, and that's just, we're not alone, and that's just a reminder. And then there's Shut Up, Sheila. It's okay to say, I wish you would shut up, to anybody you want to at any time. You should always practice kindness first. And if that doesn't work, try showing them what this looks like without the other fingers around it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think your record, it's well said there, because I think this record, it's unapologetic in every way. Like, there aren't, like, when I think someone that likes swilling whiskey on stage, the first adjective that comes to mind for a lot of country songwriters that I love, that a lot of people on this channel love, is self-loathing. People that are like so down on themselves that they can't stop drinking, and they just...
Oh yeah, we're built on self-loathing.
But this record doesn't have that totally, and that makes it very interesting to me. It's kind of
just
unapologetic.
The first thing I reached for.
Say what?
And first thing I reached for, that really was, we wrote it as a sad, like a finger-picking song, and it was just like, damn it, the first thing I reached for is the last thing I need. Then we flipped that over to, sorry, it's just how I am.
Right, there's that swagger to it that balances it, and I just think it makes your perspective unique. So
thank you.
I had fun listening. Well, anyway, I'm gonna let you go and hang out with Stella and Opie and your beer, and I'm gonna get to some of the other little gossip that we're gonna be talking about on here.
I have had a great time with you, and I'll be honest, I'm a big fan, and I tried not to just completely fan out and have to hit Copenhagen the whole time I was talking to you just to calm down. I think you're brilliant, and I love your mind, and please wash your hands and don't touch your face.
Oh, damn it. I can't. Oh, no! I just do this constantly. This is my like focus face.
I do too.
Well, anyway, I'm gonna I think have to hang up on, it'll seem rude, but goodbye.
Goodbye, friend.
All right. Well, that was fun. That was fun. Wasn't it? Man, guys, this record Never Will. I don't have a picture of it right off the top of my head. all I have is this picture, which isn't very useful for all of us. But that record Never Will. Check that out. It's out on Friday, Thursday at midnight or whatever, and it's really good.